Hello, everyone. This is Ross from Retro Dream Beam. I'm an eBay seller full time. I've been doing this with my fiance Netta for a couple years now. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. It's been like 3 years and a few months. Crazy. I have to like actually sit down to see the exact date. We started part time. All right, so I'm about to go into what we were shipping out on Friday, but to follow up on my video yesterday. So Anetta nixed the idea of doing like the 50% off on the store, turning off the sale, everything I said. She ended up wanting to do end and sell similar. She's the one that knows how to do it. I don't know like all the clicks and instructions, so I can't explain to you guys how it works. But the simplicity of it is you end a bunch of your listings and then you just sell similar on them, and then they go back out there, and then ends up getting like a bunch of people watching your items, or if people have your keywords watch list or saved as like saved searches, it pops up on their feeds again, usually results in a good amount of sales within like a day or two, sometimes right away. But yeah, in order to do this, because we have a sale on, she had to turn off the sale. The sale, you have to sit there and just wait while it processes. So, like, basically, our store is mostly shut down while it's processing. We have a lot of items listed, so it takes a long time. So, at like, I don't know, 10 or 11 at night, we only had two sales, which is like beyond disastrous. So, I was like getting pretty uncomfortable. But then she ended up, the sale went away. She did the end sell similar, that processed. And then I think she did like 2,000 listings, and then she ended up putting the sale back on. But also takes time for like eBay to process and to actually throw on the sale onto your items. But then we ended up getting some good sales. All right, so first thing, this actually just happened when I was at the storage unit yesterday. I was listing a bunch of these 1980s like fantasy miniatures, really cool. I could not identify them for the life of me. I spent like a lot of time, like 6 or 8 hours, on like a bunch of different miniatures that I couldn't identify. I was reaching out to some like buddies of mine because I have like these sci-fi heads. I'm like, I think they're Warhammer. I'm sending pictures to people. I even asked on Reddit. No one could identify some of this stuff. So I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna list them as they are. So first combo order right here, 12 items, really good. It's been a while since we got a combo order. These, you won't be able to see them. There are a lot of small miniatures. These are bugbears painted. They're like the D&D beast bear kind of type of orcish looking thing. So it's funny because they actually, someone who painted these based them with pennies on the bottom, so the person gets 4 cents back into their investment, I guess. They got 29 of these goat men. That's just what they are. And I was like, what's a goat man? I'm like, I don't know. You like battle some in Diablo 2. They're in like different fantasy games. I'm like, they're goat men. Like they're kind of like bugbears. They're kind of like orcs, but they're goats, but they're humanoids. They're on like 2 feet. They're kind of like satyrs, but not really, kind of like centaurs, not really. So 29 of these are painted. These are all tiny metal miniatures. There's 4 of these like armored knights. This collection also had the person that put the pennies on the bottom there, so they get another 4 cents back right there. And then these as well. These are like also painted like one looks like a ranger, one looks like your sword and shield warrior, another one that is your wizard with his little cap on. Also 4 pennies on that one, so I guess they get 12 cents back. All right, and then these are goblin archers, really cool fantasy goblin archers. There's 14 of them. Those are not painted. More of these bugbears. There's 4 of them. They're like half painted. Pretty like decent paintings too. And then there's the 9 of these little skeletons, fantasy skeletons of various types. And then there's a couple of lots I just put in this baggie. So I had this baggie at the storage unit to be able to put stuff in because I didn't want to transfer. There's these 2 like little, they look like wraiths. Think like the Lord of the Rings ring wraiths, but that's not what these are. They just look like it. Then there's like kind of like a lady that has like barely clothed cloth, and she's like pointing like a civilian or something. And then you have like an orc with an axe right here. So they bought all of the miniatures. They also bought these Chessex containers right here. So this one does not have foam. These are pretty good miniature containers. So they bought the not foam one. And then they also, let's see if I can pop these open. It's always really hard. You have to like, yeah. All right, there you go. So yeah, there's a lot of slots where you hold the miniatures. They actually just said they were like, oh, you can just put the miniatures in those slots and ship this out. So for all this is like about a quarter of what I listed yesterday. Like I literally listed all the stuff except for the containers. The containers was like a month ago. $168.75. Huge for us. Huge after I only had 2 sales at that point. So this is cool. This just happened actually when I was at the storage unit. Also, what happened at the storage unit, or when I woke up and then started seeing the offers that were sent overnight, a bunch of these advanced squad leader boards. These are the hard boards. I have a bunch of these. I make a bunch of different lots. I still have like a couple of boxes to go through and list these. So these are numbers 26 through 31. These look like they're just kind of like almost generic, like a flatland. So there's a couple of like shrubs or maybe like desert bushes and stuff like that. Yeah, you can use these for Advanced Squad Leader, which is the war game. People use them for role playing games because like you can just use this as like these boards kind of line up nicely. You can mix and match them. So you can use them for role playing games. You can also use them for BattleTech. As long as there's a hex and you know which way is north and south for BattleTech, you can use any size hexes. And then they also bought, these are numbers 14 through 19. Only thing I know about the particular numbers is someone told me that the earlier the number, the more common they are because they would be in more of like the intro boxes. So like 1 through 3 was more common because it came in like starter boxes, where the numbers like 14 through 19, these 28, whatever they're going to be in like in the expansions that didn't have as many like made. That's what someone else told me. All right, so those sold for $71. Super good. I was super appreciative of that. Like I said, it was not a comfortable time having only 2 sales. We do this full time with no other income at all. So yeah, it's pretty rough. Obviously, you're gonna have some bad days, but we've had a lot of like middle tier or lower days in this past week. So finally having like a good day feels good. All right. Right here, you've seen me sell this. This is Albert Wesker. This is going to be a foil promo card for Resident Evil, the deck building game. This is going to be for, I think this is a Legendary promo. Legendary has a bunch of different IPs. It's like a board game, card game, where it's a co-op. You're usually fighting like a supervillain, so this is going to be like an extra one. And then there's like a bunch of mechanics where you're purchasing cards with your cards, and then you're fighting off different villains and then like different schemes and stuff. So that sold for $9.59. That's going international, which is pretty cool. I had another one, so I just relisted it. All right, moving along, we have AFV right here, weapons, military book, like war book. I told you guys before, I like the ones where there's like a specific like tank, vehicle, person, place, because then someone, when they're interested or intrigued with the particular topic, they're going to want to get like a really good book that's like inclusive with all of that information. This sold for $11.99, which is pretty good. I get those pretty cheap. I just thought I was going to be scrolling my phone. All right, I'm still waking up. Then we have this GHQ miniatures right here. So these are 5 little tank turrets. I did not know how to identify all the GHQ stuff I had. I got like thousands and bits and pieces of them. Spent a day or two organizing, a day or two listing. But yeah, these are normally they sell in combo orders. This one sold for $7.49 for just 5 of them, which is pretty good. I do get a lot of people that message me telling me that the pieces are worthless or it's only like worth $3 for piles of them, but then I keep selling like a pile of 5 for $7. I've sold like a combo order of like 3 or 4 packets of them for like 50. So it's just it's always interesting when you get those messages. All right, next up is going to be a little bit of a story. So this is going to be, what was this, Death Angel Space Hulk card game. This is one little like token to that board game. I get like a bunch of bits and pieces. There are times where if I get like one piece or I can't identify it, I have this bin that I just put it in, and eventually in my head I'm probably just going to like list the whole bin, maybe like throw $100 price tag and just like have a nice big use 24 pictures, have it just the pile, maybe slightly less organized, and just be like, yeah, and then put in the description like this is just a bunch of miniatures, board game pieces, card game pieces that I just couldn't identify. This one I happen to identify, and because the game was expensive enough for the whole thing, I've never played it. This is the first time I got something for it, one little token. I was like, you know what? I'll just try to see if I can sell this single one. So it sold for $3.79, which I think is pretty good for like, there's probably like at least like 80 to 100 pieces in this game, plus the cards and stuff. So to get $3.79, like someone's going to be replacing their piece. They probably lost it. This is the type of piece that falls on the ground. And, it's like sometimes when you drop board game pieces or miniatures on your ground, there's like a black hole that like sucks it up and it just disappears and you never find it. And you're like, where'd it go? All right. Next up is going to be Dragonlance Dragons of Winter's Night right here, comic book. I get these like middle tier comic books. Dragonlance is the fantasy books and stuff. They have a bunch of those. So I was like, okay, I think someone will like the comic if they like the books. This sold for $8.99. I get the comics very, very, very cheap, but I get them from someone who knows comics. So I never get like super crazy winners, but sometimes I'll sell some for like 20, 25, which is good for me for based on what I pay. All right. Last up is the Terminator Future Shock. So this is going to be a PC game. Really cool art here. Terminator's cool has a lot of cool movies, obviously. So this is just the manual right there, and then there's also like a reference guide of like what the key bindings are when you get the game. So like what's move, what's run, what's dodge. Never played this game, but I know people like the PC stuff and they like to complete their games, kind of like Super Nintendo and stuff. People like the boxes, the manuals. All right, that sold for $16, which is pretty good. All right, that's everything. My day got saved. Felt really good. Feels like we're back on track. It was getting really, really grim. I was getting pretty sad, but it did mean that I had more when there's less stuff that sells, less stuff to pack. I have more time to go through stuff and list it. So, like, I organized a whole bin of stuff. That's actually why all of those miniatures were listed that sold today. So it feels good to get like instantly rewarded for having the extra time to list, if that makes sense. All right. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Hope everyone has a good weekend.